Hello, ladies, and welcome to the very first episode of the Liberated Woman podcast. I am your host, Christiano Green, and I am a mindset coach for women, and I help women to move past rejection and doubt so they can move forward and start feeling totally liberated. Now, really what I wanted to cover today was a couple of things. I really wanted to jump on and share, why I have firstly stepped into the space of coaching women. Because for any of you out there who know anything about me, for the last 3 years, I've been coaching gay men. So I want to share a little bit about why I've decided to step into that area and why I'm super passionate about this shift and change in my business. Secondly, I want to talk about why I am creating a brand new podcast, The Liberated Woman, and what's going to be happening on this podcast. And then I really want to touch on a couple of things about why my perspective as a gay man is going to be valuable for a lot of women who maybe are looking for a coach out there, and how my point of difference could be the opportunity for you to get the results that you are looking for in your life. So, of course, for those of you who don't know me, I am going to share a little bit about my journey in coming episodes. But today I really wanted to have a little bit of an introduction about why I've shifted into this space, why I've created this podcast, and then, like I said, why I am going to be an expert and a completely different perspective to maybe what you've been, used to in the past. So, first of all, let's talk about why I stepped into coaching women. And, for me, like I said, I have been coaching for well over 15 years. I was in corporate for a lot of that time. I, was a leader. I grew massive teams in the corporate world. I had a team of over 300 people when I left corporate. So I really had a lot of experience coaching people, a lot of experience leading people, and a lot of, experience with diversity in general, because, that was one thing I prided myself on in my team, was that, people would get where they got due to their results. And it was going to be, my ability to bring in diverse groups of people that would change, put in different, levels of thought, different level of experience, different level of understanding, so that we could maybe, see how we would grow and evolve in a different way. So that was kind of what I did in corporate, working for big organizations in Australia. But when I stepped into, really, coaching and having my own business, I jumped into coaching gay men because, first of all, hey, I am a gay man. So I've kind of stuck to what I knew best. And right back then, I knew the struggle and how difficult it was for me going through the process of coming out, dealing with, family stuff, dealing with, friendship stuff, dealing with bullying, dealing with anxiety, depression, mental health disorders, addictions, all of the stuff that I went through in my experience as a gay man. And I knew because of that, I wasn't alone in that experience. I know how isolating it can be to be a gay man and to go through those experiences. So I jumped in and I helped people from my point of reference then. So, I spent the last 3 years doing that, and, it's been a valuable experience. I've helped a lot of people over that time period, and it was something that I really have enjoyed doing for sure. The reason, though, that I stepped into to make a shift was that, I've realized that there was a lot of, deeper rooted stuff that gay men had to go through, and a lot of times that led to them not trusting people, not trusting other gay men, especially because there is a big thing within our community that people feel even further isolated from the gay community than they do in general. So it can be really, an isolating experience. So trusting other gay men was a lot for a lot of people to do. And for me to want to grow and make more of a bigger difference, I wasn't able to notice that I was getting to the place of being able to really make a big difference because of that barrier that I had in front of me. So I had a lot of life lessons, a lot of growth, a lot of good results for the clients that I had. I was so blessed to have such amazing clients and to get results. But I knew that I wanted to make a bigger difference. And for me to go back and help that community, I also needed to focus on growing my business. So I had some other support behind me to help that. And throughout my life growing up, usually, because again, a lot of gay men don't feel connected to their own community, they look outside of it for their connections. And the people the group of people that I found that I connected to the most was women. Women were drawn to me. I had a great way of connecting with them, with my humor, with my directness, with my, sometimes lack of tact. I always had a great way of connecting to women. And I formed a lot of great close friendships with women. And I realized that, early on when I started getting my first clients, a lot of women came to me asking for help because they felt a connection to me, whether that was people that I already knew or just women in general. And at that point, because I wasn't necessarily focused on that, I did take on a couple here and there, but in general, I wasn't able to support them. And so when I look back and going, where would I like to go? I said, hey, you know what? I've always had a strong affinity to my feminine side. I've always had a strong affinity to the female population. And I've always felt like there's been an underlying level of trust already between a gay man and a woman. Now, yes, this is probably stereotypical in certain areas, but I'm just talking about my experiences in general. And so because of that, I said to myself, well, you know what? I know that through the struggles that I've been through as a gay man, that I can have women relate to those experiences as well. Feeling left out, feeling isolated, feeling rejected, feeling like, you don't fit in, or that you have to sometimes conform to society's standards. Those are all things that women go through as well. And so when I decided that I was really keen to make a shift into this area, I knew that one, first of all, I would be able to connect to women on an easy level. I know that from my experience, right? Two, I also feel like I have a lot of experience that can be very valuable and helpful to women. And I also feel like that women are looking for something that I have to offer. Like when I looked out there wasn't another person that I personally could find from my research that there was a gay man who was coaching women that came from that kind of a perspective. And I do know that from my experience, a lot of women do value a male perspective, and also sometimes coming from a gay male who can, one, get close to you without any, I guess, barriers or fears or like, stuff that's in the way. You can become friendships. You can have that level of trust, right? Without the need for the attraction level of it, right? Then on the other side of it as well, it's like, I also have my masculine side. I understand being a man. I understand other men. I've got friends who are straight men, and they can come to me and be honest and open about their experiences as well. So I can give women a perspective, whether that's in life or in dating, that can be valuable to them in them achieving goals and getting what they want. Because again, I know that because of the experience I've had with all the friendships that I've had in my life, from the experience that I've had with my teams, because the majority of teams I dealt with in corporate were probably 85% women, right? Because those were the people that were in the teams. Those are the people that were coming to the companies that I was working for. So majority of my time coaching had actually been with women prior to me, like I said, starting up. So it wasn't such a crazy jump for me to go from that to that, because I did have so much experience coaching women, friendships with women, and having a very high level of respect and trust between the female population, because again, they can relate to some of the struggles I've been through, right? Now, that's kind of the main reason why I stepped into and made a change from that. That's kind of it, really, as we get down to it. Of course, as the podcast unfolds, I'm going to share more about my journey, share more about my story, because I really want to share a lot about why my story for you all. And it's going to unfold. It's going to unfold, right? This is what this podcast is about as well. So really, why did I create this podcast, and what can you expect from this kind of a podcast? Number one is I wanted to have a podcast for women from my perspective, so that there was a place where that they could hear my voice. Meaning not my physical voice, but like the voice that I have to share and my perspective, right? I knew that, like I said, coming from my perspective as a gay man, addressing and trying to help women's specific problems, specifically trying to relate it to, feeling rejected, feeling like there's a lot of fears and doubts, and wanting to, like I said, step into that total liberation and move away from societal norms. Like, live your own life the best way that you want to, instead of feeling like you've got to do what your family expects from you, what society expects from you, right? I wanted to come from a different perspective of voice from that, because I've also had to go through that myself, right? So I created that for that reason. I wanted a space to share my perspective, so that again, I can build more trust with the women that are coming to look for someone that's different, right? But who wants a different voice, right? I've launched I launched my shift and change just over a week ago, and it's been some amazing feedback and responses from women that they've been looking for someone and they've seen this is valuable. But there's also been the other side of it that's saying, wow, I'm another man who wants to try to tell me what to do. And I can completely understand and respect where that would come from. But I guess the kind of women that I think will be listening to this kind of a podcast are women who look outside the binary lines of reality, right? It's not just male and female anymore. There's so many blurred lines. There's so many spectrum, like dots along the spectrum. And sometimes it's about finding the right voice that's going to give you the perspective that's going to help you move forward in your life, right? Sometimes listening to a man is good. Sometimes listening to a woman is good. But sometimes it really opening your mind to outside of those boxes and realizing that you're not just listening to a man. You're listening to someone who has a unique experience in life and a unique set of experience that have created them to be able to learn things differently, to see the world differently, to have a different perspective. And so that's really what I want to be able to share in this podcast is my perspective. It's called The Liberated Woman because, again, my perspective is going to be there in the realm of helping women to move forward and liberate themselves from rejection, from fear, from doubt, from all of the negativity that maybe they're holding on to that's stopping them from taking action in their life. Whether that's related to dating, right? I know myself from my experience how much I was holding myself back from having love. And, when I got out of my own goddamn way and started to realize that all the constructs of the bullshit that I was, hearing from other people was the construct that I made in my mind, it stopped me from taking action. And when I was able to let it go of all the noise and really figure out what my voice was, what I wanted to do, I was able to do that. But I needed to have a different perspective as well so that I could get to that point. So here it is in that sense, is like in dating realm, it could be the fact that you are struggling to find a partner. It could be that you are struggling to understand why you're not connecting because you might have a lot of love to give. And I'm probably sure that if you're listening to this, you do have a lot of love to give. And if you're a single woman wanting to find love, know that I've helped hundreds of gay men to get to that place, and the structure is going to be the same, the formula is going to be the same. It's just understanding how we can maximize that for your benefit as a woman. So first of all, let's talk about those relationships, right? It could also be that you're, holding yourself back from, moving forward and applying yourself for a promotion because you fear of getting rejected. You might be fearful of starting your own business, right? Because again, that can come with a lot of, outside chatter telling people that, most business don't make it, why would you apply for that role? You're in a comfortable position now, you know what I mean? People say all these things. So sometimes we hold ourselves back in the sense to be safe and comfortable, but in reality, it's actually holding us back from stepping into higher version of ourselves and actually achieving what we may be wanting to achieve in life and actually getting, what we want out of life as well. So it could be a business thing. It could be friendship stuff. It could be your own health stuff, right? Being totally liberated means that you live life on your terms, right? And what better way to take that journey than to have a different perspective on how that, someone who has felt completely tied up and restricted to society, how he liberated himself and how learning those lessons and maybe understanding from those experiences, you can do that as well. So I'm going to be having a mixture of me sharing stuff on my own perspective, but I also want to get in some amazing women that I know that are in my circle, and I want to interview them. I want to interview them and understand how they got to liberation, how they were able to make some changes, because I know so many women have so many amazing stories to share. So this is also a way for me to have some fun, have some great conversations, and get to know some people on deeper levels. So it's about also inviting women on here to share their story, to share their journey, to see what they did to take those steps as well. Because again, that's going to only help you ladies out there hear from other ladies like you, but also me. I love hearing stories of inspiring people who do take stuff who do go against society norms and who do step outside, right? Those are the real heroes in life, who step away from, expectations or judgments or fears of what other people think of them, and they do the goddamn thing anyway, right? So this is what it's going to be, a combination of, like I said, me sharing some of my own perspective, but also me then interviewing other amazing women who are on that journey to total liberation themselves, so that you can, maybe relate to some of those women as well and get yourself on that journey as well. So that's really what this podcast is all about. And of course, I'm going to be listening to the listeners and hearing what they want to talk about or what they want me to talk about. And I'm going to be guided by you. So if you have things out there that you want to hear my perspective on as a gay man, I would love for you to reach out to me. I would love for you to comment below, wherever this is, YouTube, whether it's on, Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, anywhere that you listen to this podcast. I can see the comments. So do that, or reach out to me on social media, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever it is that you are finding me from and you know me from, reach out to me, let me know, because again, I want to be guided by you as well, because again, this is a journey for me that I'm going on, and I'm super excited to be here doing that as well. So those are the key things I wanted to cover today. The final thing I wanted to cover today was, why, as a gay man, am I going to have a unique and different perspective in being able to help women, right? So, of course, as a gay man, I'm going to have a unique perspective that's different to women. Of course, I'm going to have a unique perspective that's different to straight men, right? And because of, being brought up in a society that necessarily didn't accept, who I was, coming from a marginalized community, I understand on a deep level the challenges that women face, especially those who feel that they are being marginalized or haven't been accepted fully from society, especially when it comes to, the areas of business, areas of relationships, family stuff. So I'm coming with my unique perspective there, right? That's key thing number one, right? Number two is, of course, when I coach other gay men, there's a part of me that has, I guess, a level of, you know, relatability, in the sense of, my viewpoint is subjective to my experience as a gay man, right? But when I'm coaching women, I have an objective viewpoint. I'm personally not invested in, you know, as a female coach might be, right? If you've got a coach who's another female, they have a subjective perspective on life as a woman, right? Whereas when I am a gay man, my perspective has none of those biases in between. And I'm not trying to say that a woman coach can't do it and coach women, because of course there are so many amazing coaches that I know personally that do a great job. I'm just saying why mine's going to be a little bit slightly different is because I wouldn't have any of that. I'm going to be completely objective towards helping my clients with the results that they have. Like, there's no bias between that, as a woman who could have relatability in the sense of the problem that you're facing, right? Of course, I have similarities in relation to my experience with gay men, and I can understand deeply some of the problems that you have, but like I said, my viewpoint is completely different as well. Of course, empathy, right? A gay man really is going to be able to provide a high level of empathy and emotional support to women, right? Now, coming from a male perspective as well, sometimes a lot of women don't necessarily have that male energy that feels supportive, that they have empathy, that someone can listen to them and understand them, right? Of course, I face similar struggles, as we know. I'm going to share more about that, especially when it comes to, acceptance and my own identity, right? Your identity as a woman is probably very important to you. My identity as a gay man is very important to me, right? And so on an empathic level, I have a high level of compassion and understanding for women. And so because of that, you're going to get my perspective as a man, but also my perspective as a gay man and my perspective as a human being as well. So that's going to be something that I think is a great difference that you can connect to as well. Number four is communication, right? The thing that like I said, a lot of women friends that I've had and women clients that I've had in the past is that, my level of communication and level to be honest and direct and straightforward is very high. And that's something that, I'm able to share with the clients that will come to me, because oftentimes, if a straight man said some of the things that I said, there might be a level of disrespect, or there might be a level of like there might be an issue there, right? And that's mostly because of the gay man, like I said, I'm able to say some things and use my personality, my charisma, my truth, my reality to share some things in a direct way, because I think my approach and who I am as a person lends to the fact that I can be direct and honest and know that it's not coming from any place of judgment or any place of, like I said, there's no attraction there as well, right? So being able to communicate directly without any skin in the game, without any of those walls that could be there, that are those illusionary walls that we all know we're talking about. So I'm able to, use my experience to get straight to the point, which is going to be beneficial in helping women, because again, sometimes what I found in the past is that not every person knows how to be direct in a most tactful way. Not everyone knows how to, say what is needed to be said in an honest and caring way, right? And that's what I pride myself on, is my communication skills as a person, as a human being, but also to use my, my charm as a gay man to be able to say that stuff and know that it's coming across in the way that it was intended. And if not, hold space for that to be then discussed. Because I also know that sometimes, you can say what you need to say, and sometimes it may be that in the moment it's hard to hear, but sometimes people then backtrack. And as a gay man, I'm used to being in experiences with people where, I don't backtrack. We say it how it is, and I say it how it is with love. And then I'm there to pick up the pieces, right? I don't know how many times in my experience that I've had to be the bearer of bad news, especially when it comes to girlfriends, where I've seen their partners cheating on them, and I've had to be the one that said it because they wouldn't do it. Their partner wouldn't say it. So I've had to be in those moments where I've had to be honest and direct and say the absolute truth, knowing that my friend is shattered right now, but knowing that I'm there to help them pick up the pieces, because I can handle it. I can handle anything. And I really mean that. So that level of communication, I pride myself on a high level to be able to do that as well. And then finally, confidence. Something that a few years ago, I would not be able to say that I have. I had to work so hard to get over all the things that were holding me back, from, and that had high level of insecurity towards, let's just say that. There was a 0% confidence within me. I had no friends. I struggled to communicate. I had a high level of social anxiety, suffering with depression and suicidal thoughts. Like I said, I'm going to share more of my journey in weeks to come. But knowing that I had to overcome so many different things to get to a place of confidence within myself, within my relationship, within all of my relationships, within my business, within, my clients, putting myself out there, all of the stuff I had to go through to get to the place of confidence that I am. I know I can help women with their confidence, with their self-esteem, because we've been through similar struggles. And in order for you to become yourself and overcome social stigma and discrimination, it takes a lot. And I've got the tool belt as a master NLP practitioner, certified coach. I've got what it takes to help people with that as well. So I've got the tools to do so. So those are some of the key things that I can think of off the top of my head. That is, how I know that I have a different perspective, a different unique voice. And I'm super excited to go on this journey, supporting women, and being a mindset coach for women and coming from a different perspective. And like I said, I know I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone wants this kind of a voice, and that's cool. But I do know that the people that do want a unique voice, a different perspective, someone who has experience and has the skill set and has the results to back it up, they'll come and find me. And I'm allowing myself to be in the flow of that. Allow myself to dance between the masculine and the feminine, because I know that we are both. And I'm not afraid of either one of those parts of myself. And I own all of those parts. So this is really what this podcast is going to be about. I look forward to going on this journey. Like I said, I'm going to have some great guest speakers coming up for me to interview, along with sharing my unique perspective on that. So other than that, you're going to catch me here probably every Thursday or Friday, depending where you are in the world. And that's because that's when I'm going to be dropping these episodes. So check those out. Subscribe to the channel wherever you see me on YouTube. Like I said, Apple, Spotify, whatever. I'd love your support. And like I said, if you have any topics you want me to cover, reach out to me because, like I said, this is as much your journey as it is mine. Other than that, I'm going to catch you next week. Always remember you've got this and I've got you. Bye for now.